I would say I blew up in little tiny incremental blow-ups over many years, most of them mental blow-ups.
I still remember.
Conan Gray makes the kind of music that makes you feel okay, to be okay with the kind of thoughts you know you're not supposed to have, but have them anyway. With songs like Maniac and Heather, he exposes his inner wounds as an offering of safety for whoever chooses to listen. It all began in the small town of Georgetown, Texas, along with a plan for Conan to get out. So he wrote Idletown as both an ode to his hometown and a farewell. A melodic contradiction Conan chooses to own, snowballing into a career built on honesty, no matter how beautiful or ugly.
Hey, I'm Conan Gray, and you're watching How I Blew Up on UPROXX.
People come and go, it's all the same. Speed the roads on a darling days to any place that's...
After Conan Gray's early years of being a military brat, which consist of moving around from his place of birth of Lemon Grove, California, to his mother's homeland of Japan, and all over America, including where he and his mom eventually settled following his parents' divorce in Georgetown, Texas. That's where Idletown, the song that got him a deal, was born.
I do remember thinking when I was making it, like, oh, this sounds a little different than the other stuff I'd made. It was an interesting story because it was right at the end of my senior year, and in a way that song was like my way of saying goodbye to my small town. I grew up in a small town in the middle of Texas, and that song was my way of being like, goodbye, like I'm leaving, I'm gonna miss you, like I love this town. And even though I said I hated it my whole life and always wanted to move away, it was kind of my goodbye. So the fact that that was the song that got me signed felt very ironic and very like perfect. Yeah, that's kind of what I think made it different.
What would you say the most Texas thing is about like your music or the way that you release it? I know you keep a part of it with you.
Well, I always joke that if you sing any of my songs in a Texan accent, they're country songs. Like, wish I were Heather.
Heather. We all know her. And like they say, you can take the Texas out of me and Conan is singing proof.
Heather was the last song that I wrote for Kid Crow. And it was a song that I had the idea for years, but I could never get it in the right phrasing. So I'd always write the song and be like, fuck you, Heather, I hate you, die. And then it took like distance and time from the situation that happened for me to realize like, oh, like that's not what I'm actually feeling. What I'm feeling is jealousy. What I'm feeling is like resentment towards the other person. What I'm feeling is like almost admiration for Heather and the fact that like she's just perfect. You know, it's a lot deeper than just being like, screw you, you know? And so it took so long. I could never get it into words until finally, like after years of trying and all these angry songs that weren't right, I was like, wish I were Heather. And I was like, that's what I was trying to say. It was such a relief. And when I wrote it, I finished it and I was like, okay, done. Like the album's done. And I wrote the whole song just like sitting in bed and brought it to Dan and we kind of knew exactly what to do. It just was a perfect situation.
How many versions of Heather are there?
I probably tried to write the Heather song like 20 times probably. It just never really worked. It just felt too rooted in hate, and that's not what the feeling is.
Shout out to Heather, though. The song was Conan's first Billboard entry, peaking at number 46, and it's currently double platinum. And the music video is where Conan gave himself permission to live out his dream and also break some barriers.
Well, the music video was really challenging because it was just me and my two friends shooting it because we couldn't shoot a normal music video because the pandemic. So we wanted something super, super simple that got the point across, which I think there's a version of yourself that you like present to the world to try to convince people that you're like this type of thing. And that's so far from what you actually are. To me, like making this video of me kind of getting dressed up as this Heather was my way of like becoming Heather instead of always wishing that I were her. I think that song's super ironic, and I have a theme of ironic songs in my life. You know, Idletown is a song about my love for my hometown, and then that was the song that took me out of my hometown. And then Wish I Were Heather was like the song about wishing that I could be loved. And then this song ended up bringing a lot of people who show me so much love at these shows and things. Life is always kind of like that. And so I think that's kind of what that music video is to me. It's like just another part of that. It was about like really when Heather had its biggest moment was like almost a year after the album came out, which I think is crazy. Like music is so unpredictable these days, and I have no rhyme or reason with anything. I'm like, whatever. Things just kind of happen. If a song is really good and people like it will just kind of
do its own
thing, yeah.
Following Kid Crow, Conan delivered his critically acclaimed Superache with songs like Memories, People Watching, and Astronomy, serving fans with more music to cry to. Superache landed on the Billboard 200 at number 9.
Superache to me is a word that I made up because I wanted a word to kind of encompass this feeling of really like dramatically dealing with your pain or like your emotions. It's an ache that's super, and super has two meanings, you know. Super can mean like big or like, you know, like large, but also it can mean like good. And when you're really miserable, like I was the past 2 years, there's almost like a comfort in it, and you start to realize like, oh, maybe I'm miserable because of myself, and maybe I'm the problem sometimes, and maybe you kind of like being sad, so that's why you're always sad. And so I think that that's what Superache is, just like all those feelings and all the dramaticness of it all.
In a world where it's easy to be fake, how does Conan stay so true and honest?
How are you able to like just put it out there and not be afraid?
I feel like it's not really my choice, to be honest, because sure, you can like try really hard to write a bunch of songs that convince the world that you feel what you're singing, but it's so much easier and so much more effective to just tell the truth. You know, it's like so much more natural, and that's the way that I've connected with people, is like just by being honest. And there are so many times that I write a line and I'm like, I don't want to say that. I don't want people to know that I thought that, but it's just not an option. I can't lie. People aren't gonna believe me, because you know, when you listen to a song, you're like, that's never happened. You've never felt that. You're a liar. Go away. Why do you exist in the music industry? Go away. And I just don't want that to be what my way of making music is, because it's just harder, to be honest. Maybe I'm just lazy.
Even though fans playfully have implied he's in his K-pop era.
It's really interesting because I don't think I have K-pop talent in the sense that they're so good at like being like, it's funny. Also, a lot of people are like, why is he in Korea? I'm like,
that's my next question. What were you doing in Korea?
I was playing a festival in Korea called House of Wonder, and we figured while we were there we should like, you know, say hi to as many people as we can and do a few little shoots and things like that. And I was just in Japan like the week before, and we're trying to go to all the places that we didn't get to go to because of the pandemic. So yeah, that's what we're doing. But everyone's like, why is he here? I'm like, am I not allowed to go to Korea? I'm sorry.
I don't know why they're asking though.
Yeah, I guess so. But it's really...
Did a certain collab happen? Or any collabs happen?
No, none of the collabs happened. None of the ones that people wanted. Although I got to meet Wendy from Red Velvet, and that was really special to me.
But for Conan's next era of contradicting love themes and polarizing thoughts, he has a never-ending song, so get ready.
I released the album. That was like hard, and I've done enough. So I'm just gonna be on tour and smile for some cameras, sing my little songs on the television, and then leave. That's all I have to do.
And that's how Conan Gray blew up and is now Gen Z's reigning pop king by staying true to his heart. From having that burning feeling to leave Georgetown to singing the things anyone caught up in the idea of romance are afraid to say out loud, the honesty is admirable, and it's clearly paying off.
To have so many people be like, oh, I've had this exact feeling before, one makes me feel a lot less alone, which is nice, because I always feel like I'm the only person who's gone through some experience, when in reality we're all the same. We're just like sheep.
For UPROXX Music, I'm Sharice Johnson.